Hello. Okay. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me start by recognizing the Honorable Speaker, Fawakar Tombanjata, the Ambassador of the United States to the Gambia, the British High Commissioner to the Gambia, and the Chair of the Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare, but also recognizing members of the National Assembly, the Clerk of the National Assembly, representatives of political parties that are present here, as well as stakeholders from the civil society and the private sector that are invited here, and of course our esteemed discussants. So I would say I am happy to see all of you here and to know that you, like me, are all fully committed to women's political participation and representation in all theaters of decision making. Let me start by first expressing gratitude and appreciation to the leadership of the National Assembly for the immense cooperation they continue to render to Westminster Foundation for Democracy since its arrival in the Gambia. WFD is an independent public body within the UK government that seeks to promote and strengthen democracy around the world. In 2018, the Gambia became the latest country to receive WFD through the intervention of the British High Commission. Since then, we have set up our office within the National Assembly complex and have since continued to enjoy immense cordial and supportive relationship with both the offices of the Speaker and the Clerk. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our work in the and with the National Assembly is primarily to provide technical support so that the human and institutional capacities of the structures and staff of the Assembly are strengthened to carry out their functions accordingly. In this regard, we have been supporting the creation of necessary structures, building knowledge and skills of staff, and providing tools to enhance the effectiveness, efficiency, and responsiveness of the National Assembly as an institution. Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, WFD's support to democracy aims to help to make a country's political governance systems more inclusive, transparent, and accountable. For democracy to flourish and produce good governance, all citizens, regardless of sex, disability, age, origin, or other status, must have the ability and the space to participate and influence issues and decisions that affect their lives, hence inclusion. In a transparent and accountable political system, citizens can hold people with power responsible for their decisions, usually via the Parliament or the National Assembly and civil society and the media. It is in light of the foregoing that WFD, with support from the British High Commission, has engaged the Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare with a view to supporting and contributing to ongoing efforts in addressing the perennial gender imbalance in decision making in the Gambia. Despite forming more than half the population, women are conspicuously limited in representative institutions in this country. We cannot develop as a country when the population that holds half the Gambian sky is not at the table, but only on the menu. We can do more because more needs to be done for our women. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to therefore thank the Chair of the Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Honorable Fatma Tanjai, and her members for their recognition of the urgency of inclusive and accountable politics and their commitment to the promotion of gender equality and women's representation. Their commitment to this cause is profound. Together with our committee and the Office of the Clerk, WFD has convened this policy dialogue for the sole purpose of re-energizing the national conversation about the status of women in our society. For that matter, we have carefully selected a team of highly relevant and qualified discussants so that we can have a pragmatic and constructive conversation aimed at producing tangible results. The time to act is now. WFD's objective in this conversation today, therefore, is to add value to already existing efforts at constitutional and legal reforms that have been undertaken to bring about gender equality through increasing the representation of women in power, among other efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, please allow me to express my appreciation, therefore, to Mrs. Fatou Jan Senghor, a founder of the Center for Women's Rights and Leadership, and a long-standing global human rights activist, for agreeing to serve as the keynote speaker in this August gathering. Similarly, my appreciation goes to the distinguished discussants, including the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Welfare, the Honorable Fatou Kinte, the Lord Mayor of Banjul, Rohim Malik Law, the Chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Emmanuel Daniel Diouf, and the Executive Director of Women in Leadership and Liberation, Afatou Balde. I wish to thank them profusely for accepting to be discussants. I end to say I wish to also express gratitude to all of you, National Assembly members, and also our guests, you the participants who came here today, and I look forward to a very fruitful, constructive conversation. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manijabati, for shaping the ball rolling. And but the discussions have not yet started, so we will start the argument now. I will go straight on to invite His Excellency, the British High Commissioner to the Gambia, a very strong supporter of the National Assembly through the Friends of Parliament, and a strong advocate for inclusion and the rights of women. Your Excellency, David Bell.
Thank you. Honourable Speaker, Chair of the Select Committee on Gender, all members of the National Assembly, Honourable Lord Mayor of Banjul, Honourable Deputy Lord Mayor of Kanifing Municipal Council, members of civil society, my diplomatic colleague, Her Excellency, the US Ambassador, all my esteemed fellow panelists, good morning. First of all, I'd like to say we're delighted and honoured to support this initiative with Madam Jabate and the Westminster Foundation for Democracy. I won't make my remarks very long because there's many more interesting people to listen to than me. But I will say, investing in the inclusion of women and girls in the political process and leadership directly benefits economic growth, good governance, and participatory democracy. We know that women's political leadership results in better outcomes for women and girls, as well as the whole of society. Having more women in political leadership delivers progress in policy areas that are vital for economic growth and development. The positive impact of women in politics is undeniable. Kofi Annan once noted that study after study has taught us there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women. No other policy is as likely to raise economic productivity or to reduce child and maternal mortality. No other policy is as sure to improve nutrition and promote health, including the prevention of HIV/AIDS. No other policy is as powerful in increasing the chances of education for the next generation. And I think all of that is very true. It is not enough for women to be part of structures and institutions. Their participation must be meaningful. Countries waste a precious resource in the dramatic underrepresentation of women in leadership positions, often resulting in the exclusion of women's talents and skills in political life. Decision makers at all levels must institutionalise meaningful and safe participation of girls and women in politics. National and local governments must ensure access to diverse, inclusive pathways towards political participation. Governments and social media companies must adopt a zero policy tolerance approach to violence towards the political participation of women and girl activists. And we've been talking about that just before this meeting. International partners, governments and civil society should recognise and support women and girls' vital and distinct roles in society. Democracy cannot afford for half the population not to be wholly and equally engaged in decision making. And when I was thinking about what I was going to say today, and I was thinking about women's participation in politics in the UK, and I was reminded of the fact that my grandmother was born without the right to vote. My mother was born in the year that women got full and equal rights to vote in the UK. But we have now had 3 women prime ministers in the UK. A generation can change this. Thank you very much.
So I have been vindicated when I said she's a strong defender of an inclusive society. I'm always pro-development. Your Excellency, thank you. Interesting. Now I will have the honor to invite our sister, a seasoned diplomat. Because when you talk about women, you don't need to ask women to say anything about themselves. It therefore gives me great pleasure to invite Her Excellency, the United States Ambassador, to add to the conversation.
My message is going to be quick. It's a message of support because I'm here to learn from you. Well, we know that women make up more than 50% of the population here in the Gambia, yet represent the most marginalized segment of society. Former U.S. State Department Secretary of State John Kerry stated, "No country can get ahead if it leaves half of its population behind." The cost of this empowerment of women is great. It leads to school dropouts, poor health outcomes, weak social cohesion, low productivity, economic instability, and disruption of peace and security. Gambian women, like so many women across the world, face 3 major challenges I understand: poor health and education status, lack of economic opportunities, absence of voice in decision-making from the household to the state house. Women make it happen, but it rarely happens for women. There is evidence that shows, and the British High Commissioner mentioned this, that when you invest in women, not only the individual woman benefits, but her family, the community, and the nation rise up. The only way the Gambia will progress and become a middle-income country is if women are empowered to become equal partners in developing this beautiful country. Not only must we change laws, but we must change mindset and behavior. government will be a steadfast partner in this effort during my time here as U.S. ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. For the Gambia to move as to being a middle income country, we have to change the mindset. And that includes women taking their rightful positions. And in the National Assembly, in our short history, since the 1950s to date, we are no stranger to breaking the glass ceiling. Some may argue the numbers are still very unsatisfactory. But we have produced quite a significant number of female National Assembly speakers. And of course, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. And the waters have been tested. The lines have been redrawn. Because the chairperson of the Gender Committee is one person, one woman, among others, who has proven that when the space and the opportunity is available, women can and they can do it. And I therefore invite Honorable Fatima Tanjai to kickstart the conversation. Please.
I would like to have for conveying this policy dialogue. A very important process for us as Tanzania to discuss such measures on legal reform, women's political participation, representation, and inclusion in judicial processes. According to an activist, on what each of us does every day. The movement is only people moving, and it has started the movement. And it also holds Bishop Obama in an interview with my and I quote, one of the lessons that I grew up with was to always stay true to myself and never let somebody else start real of my goals. And so when I hear about negative and false attacks, I really do not invest any energy in them because I know who I am. And women, they really are the distracted and the living energy. What we want is to be equal in society. And what brings us equality and education and society, I think, is how to Rising Platform for Action in 1995 also called for removing barriers to equal participation. Since Beijing Plus 15 was just right here in the soils of our country. That shows how important Gambia is in decision making in the world. Like I said, it was held right here in the Gambia. It recognized that progress towards gender equality, gender equity, and women empowerment can only be achieved through addressing the structural and root causes of gender. It was pointed out that this could only be achieved through development and enforcement of constitutional and legal instruments taking into account all protocols by the Sudan Convention, the protocol to the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, and on the rights of women in Africa. These are just one of few. There are many protocols. If I were to go through them, it will be there also. So what is stopping us from implementing these protocols and acting on them? All these were done in preparation for the 20th anniversary against the Dakar, which is our place. Where are we still in 2023? We are in a situation that is yet to be decided. Gambia, however, one of the poorest countries, has always made its mark on women empowerment. We had our first ever female elected candidate in 1982, and our first ever female minister in 1985. That marked improvement in the status of women as the public sector, with the government then also establishing the National Women's Council and the Women's Union under the auspices of the Ministry of Health, Social Welfare, and Women Affairs, even though there was no separate gender ministry. So I will not go further than thanking present government for at least separating the Ministry of Gender, giving it the right, it makes me emotional when I talk about it, giving it the right attention that it deserves. So I would like to say thank you to Your Excellency, President Navarro, for giving us that attention. Women ministry has always been under the offices of the Vice President, which until recently has been manned by females since 1997 with a brief interruption from 2017 from 2018 to 2019. Dr. Isaac Ndiaye was not only the first Gambian to hold the position of the Vice President, she was also the first female in West African politics to reach that high political position. So Gambia is not behind. What we need to do is to push a little harder so that we can be hard, so that we can be better. But, ladies and gentlemen, honorable colleagues, let us leave this dialogue forward to the coming time to take action and enact and enforce constitutional and legal instruments taking into account all the different measures. The Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the Global Goals, was also adopted by the United States in 2015 as the universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace, prosperity, and the gender equality. From every stage that by now, most if not all of our countries would have made laws to enforce these principles that is important. Truly, after decades, gender gaps have narrowed in various areas: education, health, advocacy in all areas across countries. It is in your body mentioned that the Gambia is integrated in all these international commitments, and instead of an upward trajectory, they are moving downward. 8% of female representation as compared to 11% in the state and the state legislature, respectively. More worrisome is both speaker and the deputy speaker using male in the state legislature as compared to the state. We've also always had female vice presidents, like I mentioned, since 1997. That also means that because we need, if we are not president, we have to need. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner and the Ambassador, allow me to engage in this dialogue. Commitment of to come together in the sense of how we, as members of society and as members of parliament and friends of the parliament, both male and female, former and current, to become champions of female representation and work together to reduce the gap in female representation. The first step to achieving this, like I've always been saying, is to join the advocacy of the speedy introduction of the failed constitutional amendment bill to enlarge the parliament to accommodate more seats for women. It is in line with the themes of the agreement to enact enforceable constitutional and legal instruments for equality and equity. Our honorable speaker here present, though we disagree on political terms, is a female advocate, and I know for a fact that he will love to leave a legacy of this much required need address in this group of people. And as the chair of the Gender and Senior Welfare Committee, I and my colleagues will make it priority for the committee to come up with a committee bill to this effect with the support of you all here present and under the leadership of the last meeting. This is a call your call.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the Gender Committee. And you see how passionate she becomes when the issue of women is on the table. We are told behind every successful man there is a woman, but equally behind every successful woman there is a man. I'm not sure if you all will agree. But we have very courageous, very determined men who are always ensuring that the women are not left behind. That every step they take along with the woman. And one of such men is no other person than the Right Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of the Gambia. I therefore now have the singular honor to invite the Right Honorable Speaker to officially declare this policy dialogue.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chairperson, Gender Honorable Member, Your Excellency, Legislative Ambassador of Gambia, the critical item to the Gambia. Chairperson, National Human Rights Committee, Country Director of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, Lord Mayor Franklin, Secretary Lord Mayor of Kanifing Municipal, Executive Director of Women in Leadership and Liberation, representatives from civil society organizations, staff of the National Assembly, distinguished eminent panelists, members of the press, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to welcome you all to this first ever policy dialogue between the National Assembly and civil society and women leadership participated in decision making. I am delighted that we have representatives from a wide range of stakeholders who bring unique expertise and experience in gender issues and development to this nation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there is overwhelming evidence that women's participation in politics and decision making is beneficial to both their own communities and society, and broader peace and stability. But despite the existence of a number of legal frameworks guaranteeing women's political rights, we remain far from the goal of gender parity. This is to see the inclusion of women in political processes is a key element in achieving a truly inclusive democracy, and women must have the chance to exercise their political rights and participate in all political systems. It is my honest conviction that open discussion based on mutual respect informs debate among actors of the politics. I am optimistic that the opinions and resolutions that will be proffered in this policy dialogue and the emerging decisions based on consensus will enable us to make commitments to address the challenges confronting us. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we deliberate, let us be reminded that addressing gender parity in political participation in decision making goes beyond simply ensuring women have a seat at the table. It is about understanding the fundamental human right of women to participate and incorporating their perspective at every stage of the planning and implementation of national development programs. It is about working on underlying political culture and ensuring that gender inclusivity initiatives goes beyond pessimistic gestures and genuinely addresses the underlying causes of discrimination. This requires that we understand and therefore challenge the mechanisms, practices, and stereotypes that effectuate inequality between men and women in the political arena. Dialogue is central to this process, empowering women to become active participants at the policy-making table by promoting equal rights and opportunities for women in political parties and social change movements, empowering female candidates during elections, mentoring and coaching, and providing training in political skills, media engagement, networking, and political campaigning are fundamental in this regard. Of course, the National Assembly, as a critical stakeholder, can pass new laws and legislation on gender equality. However, equally important is building a democratic culture in which the rights of women are protected, building the capacity of stakeholders, particularly political parties, to encourage awareness of their own rules and barriers and analyze citizens' interests and needs with their citizens. I feel certain that this policy dialogue play a significant role in expanding the conversation and driving commitment to peace. I therefore urge you all to share your ideas and provide tangible solutions that can drive the agenda of gender parity in political participation and republic forward. And then, Lord, your Excellency, I have the honor to formally declare this policy dialogue open and wish you all every success. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I think the tone and direction of the conversation this morning has already been set. What I will now do, with the permission of the Honorable Speaker, is I will ask this assembly to rise while the distinguished erudite members of the high table are allowed to take their respective seats. So that now we all become actors, we all become participants, and I will hand over safely to the Right Honorable Chair of the Gender Committee, who will guide the discussions. May we rise for the high table, please. Just a quick announcement. We will be having a family photo right at the reception desk, in front of the reception desk, with the members of the high table. And we will end through the hall to kickstart the conversation. And thank you, Honorable Chair, for that. Your Excellency, please. Excellent. Never mind it. Yes, yes. Let's go, please, for the photo session. Come on, sir. Yeah. Sir. There, that's it. Yeah.
Mana tinggal yang situ?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for moving to this part. We now start the dialogue process, and we want to try to interact because this is what we are here to listen to. So what takes us forward is what we all look at later. staff. We are grateful for the speaker that have opened this session to show how he is showing the importance and value the importance of human rights. We have to cancel them to come and show us his support. We will be briefing him as we go. We'll now have our keynote address by Fatou Jan, the founder and the CEO of Center for Women's Rights and Leadership. To make it more interactive, I would call all our discussants to be with me on the table so that the ideas can just flow. That's how we can pick things. I would also have my brother and friend, Emmanuel Ju, the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, as well as my sister, the mayor of Banjul, Rohi Malik Low. I will also have Fatou Balde, the executive director of WIL. Thank you. Just sit anywhere. Thank you. We will now have Fatou Jan, who will take us through the impact on and the correlation between the active political participation and increased representation of women. Thank you. Fatou. Quite a lot of normative frameworks, and we are all known to be, or used to be at some stage, until the digital of human rights. And everybody always reference the African Charter, which is the foundation of African legal and human rights frameworks that is the Banjul Charter. And it's Article 13, it talks about the importance of inclusivity, the importance of making sure that all actors, including women, participate in decision making. Of course, we all remember, as Honorable mentioned, Amanda mentioned it earlier, everybody who spoke about human rights reference CEDAW, the 79 Convention, which really sets the foundation for women's rights. 2 years after CEDAW, major landmark is the World Conference on Human Rights. I think everybody will remember that important declaration and plan of action of Vienna to reiterate the importance of human rights and also women's rights. And Hillary Clinton then was First Lady of the United States mentioned something
that I think resonated years after in the Declaration of Beijing. They say human rights are human rights. And I think this is very important. And I think that should start a lot of the arguments, a lot of the discussion in the Beijing platform discussions. You already mentioned after 10 years in Beijing, Zambia hosted an important review meeting and made significant commitments to women's rights. Today we are almost 38 years after Beijing, 30 years after the Vienna Conference on human rights. What is the situation? We evaluate, yes, in terms of legislative framework, we made some progress. And also, in terms of standards across the world, we made some progress. In the continent, the democratic principle, it is a homegrown principle supporting women's rights, looking at the specificity of African women, agreed by African governments. That is why we call it the protocol to the African Charter on Women's Rights, which is the democratic principle. And Gambia has been one of the first champions and also signatories. And most of the discussions in the democratic principle were also led by civil society and some of the meetings of the leaders in this country. So we've seen Gambia has really been part and parcel of these discussions around women's rights at the global level, at the African level. So what is the problem then? Why are we doing that today? I think we need to interrogate that. When you look at data, they mentioned, and then I look at the concept note, it's kind of revealing that the world data is telling us that progress has been very poor, even though in certain individual cases we have a lot of progress. But what we've seen also is that okay, let's interrogate data now. When we look at the world average, it's 25, kind of across the board implementation. And when we come closer to the region, in Senegal, for example, in the parity law of 2010, they have more than 30% now representation. In the parliament, in other decision-making bodies such as the Economic and Social Council, and some other bodies that are representative of the people. When you go to Rwanda, they are more than 60%. Here in the Gambia, it's about 8%, and the world average is about 26%. So where are we? We've been leading in terms of the discussion. We've been leading in terms of the processes. We've been part, despite the fact that we were in a very repressive system, but still the government as a body was participating, committing itself. So what happened between the lines? Why are we where we are today? We go to ministerial levels, we have 2 ministers out of the 21. We go to the diplomatic circles, almost the same. I think we have less than 4 women diplomats. Permanent secretary levels, we go to the boardrooms. I think we have about 3 women across the board who are board chairs in this country. And the list goes on. So we have problems. We submitted to laws, we agree to international standards, but when it comes to coming back, bringing those back and domesticating them, we seem to have problems. And we involve, and that's where we invested. We say, it's culture, it's stereotypes. This has been there. How come? When we committed, especially with the parliament, when we committed to ratify those, we knew that we had some issues, and we promised and we committed that we are going to undertake reforms. We're going to push, despite all those societal challenges, to move ahead. How come after 20, 30 years, we still invoke the same obstacles? And then that brings me to the issue of accountability. And the parliament must be accountable. Because parliament ratifies. Parliament is the supreme body. We tend to see the executive as the supreme body, but parliament is the supreme body. No treaty can be enforced in this country if the parliament doesn't ratify. So your role is critical. You scrutinize the legislation, you scrutinize treaties that are signed by government, and you authorize, put your signature to say, yes, we agree as a country to be committing ourselves to doing this. That's what we agree with CEDAW. That is what we agree with the Municipal protocol. And on top of that, we progress slightly not to our satisfaction, but we have the Women's Act in 2010. It also is a derived some of the provisions from the Maputo Protocol. It's kind of progressive in some of the provisions. There are still a lot of unfinished business that we need to tackle to make sure that women's rights are promoted and protected in this country. I just wanted to bring that to the fore to say, yes, we have all these norms. Yes, the statistics are falling. So what do we do? What do we do? That falls on our responsibility. And teach the countries that have made the changes, that have arrived where they are today, the one that we talk about, is a deliberate attempt. They didn't sit and wait for things to happen. You have to make it happen. In this day and age, Parliament has more than a responsibility to make it happen. Inclusion is not just a nice thing to have. It's necessary. This morning, the board is a concord. They say you cannot develop if more than half the percent of the population is there. And everybody is kind of very okay, everybody is on board with the slogan, leaving no one behind. Everybody seems to adhere, but the actions are not there. So I believe that it's time for action. I will not go into all these preachings. We all know them. CEDAW is there. I think most women, of course, this country, they know CEDAW. They've been trained. They've been doing a lot of activities. I think the FPAC is one of those instruments that is quite popularized. Every now and then, from business, civil society, parliamentarian, everybody is on board talking about the SDGs. Of course, the Agenda 2063 of the AU, I think is not also new to us. So we all know those instruments. We have them, and they are part of our legal framework now. We've committed to those instruments as a country. But the statistics are there to show us that we are not progressing. But we say we are making progress. I think what we need to do now is deliberately work together. And the way forward is to work together, continue to work together, and hold ourselves account is very important, because the workshops, the gatherings, I think we've done enough of this. We need to really put our heads together, working towards that path of ensuring that we get a law, the framework that will correct the injustices of the past, that will ensure that all the issues that we are talking about, representation, is corrected. Men in this country, we all know what they've done. For example, they are there fighting issues, but they are few. You cannot make difference in five parliamentarians. When you want to change laws, you have to have a critical amount of people who adhere to the same principles, the same objectives to push ahead. You can't also consider that we are in a democracy where half of the population is excluded in decision-making process. Their perspective is not considered. So this is also a challenge that we need to address. So in a nutshell, yes, we have laws, but we are not implementing them. We have agreed easily to international standards, but nobody is holding us to account. And it is time for us to hold ourselves to account. The parliament was hold the executive to account, but citizens also must hold the parliament to account, because the parliament has died. And they call on government to come and report on regular basis on the progress they made. So we need also to scrutinize parliament work, and parliamentary accountability is very critical. Another point also that I wanted to mention about the lack of implementation, or the fact that we hide behind culture, and sometimes also religion to some extent, to really deprive women of their rights. It's also, I think, common across the world, but there are many instances where research data have shown that women, when they are given flexibility, according to some of the latest research from Israeli women, from some other agencies, women in many countries, including in India, in some parts of Africa, when they are given position to lead, they focus on public service. And data is there. And it is important in this day and age to think about the process, to think about the national interest. And I think women are provided the opportunity to lead, they can push the agenda of public service better. They are managing the household. They are managing most of the critical aspect of life, especially in this country. We all know most of the women are the ones the breadwinners. They take care of the families in most areas, especially in the rural areas. So it is important that if we trust them with the families, we should be able also to trust them with the position and also the decision-making institutions. So definitely, in this note, I want to just to reiterate that yes, we need to have accountability, we need to implement what we agree. We cannot continue to sign, tick boxes, and when we go home, we forget about it. The last point that I want also to mention is about women working together as networks. I'm just going to give some examples. Not easy, like in any other setting. Sometimes, unfairly, people will say women don't work with each other. I think that's not the case. People do work when interested are converging. What we need to do is try and find our convergence, where we can work together, what are the issues that can bring us together and start working. So I think as women in this country, there is no more important issue that is equality, that the issue of being represented. And when you talk about representation, it's not just at the political level, it's also in the boardroom, in the private sector. Because I was looking at me, he was at the Chamber of Commerce, and I think it's across the board in the corporate world. So we need women to be speaking where decisions are made. We need women in the media, where also the voices are heard, where policy opinions are shaped. So it's not only in politics. When you have good policy laws, when you have quota laws, it helps society to change. And then you have some paradigm shift across the board that deliberately want society to move forward and consider women. That's where you can see the change. But if you don't do it, you're going to continue to talk about this issue at a very superficial level, but we will not be achieving anything. So working together, yes, we've done it to get some results. In this country, we work together to get change. It was very difficult. Everybody knows during the dictatorship, people were afraid to talk to each other. But at some stage, there were so many women behind the scenes who worked together, supporting their political parties, making sure they mobilize to raise funds, they mobilize to go to court when people were detained, they mobilize to prepare, support the victims, they mobilize also to convince people to join the struggle. So at the end of the day, there are so many invisible women, but efficient women who really work so hard to make this change happen. And today, we've seen that their voices are lost in the midst of this, this process. So you hardly see women being recognized for the work they've done at certain levels. And we are very sorry to say that when we had the Minister of Gender, we were hoping that for the, you will really push the process very quickly. Because everybody was complaining that, the portfolio was verified in house of the vice president, criticizing for the president, taking care of security, chairing the Security Council, and some other responsibilities. And also, really addressing issues around women sitting together, like a roadmap. So we thought, having a standalone ministry would help really push. But we are yet to see the impact, and we hope that the ministry, during this conversation, will further push, because definitely having a standalone ministry will help us really push the market forward. But in most countries also, it's not done by central government, it's done by the people. Senegal has been a case in point. People mobilize, they organize, and they push the boundaries. And what they've done, just to conclude some of the case studies. For many years, organizations were working in silos, and they were not speaking to each other. Everybody was in their own workshops, their own processes, and they were talking to the same decision makers. They were all converged to the president, they were all converged to the same religious leaders. So day in and out, you see the same things happening. So at some stage, they realized that they were not going anywhere. They were very active in the political parties, they were active across the board, they were really the resources. But when it comes to choosing who represents, they were nowhere to be seen. So what they did, they organized, and bipartisan line. So making sure that people come together. irrespective of their political party. And they had like youth stakeholders, like prophets, and civil society. That helped them really to shape this good campaign and how the media strategy that was very efficient involving the key political parties and getting them to commit. So it is very important that and recording their commitment and getting them to speak out in public about their commitment. That combined also with an advocacy vis-a-vis of religious leaders and traditional leaders, how at the end of the campaign to amplify across the board and also brought women together. You've seen like for so many years, there used to be, I'm sure the older generation will remember, women insulting other women a lot during campaign, used by men to insult the young. So what they did, they had what they called the rapper. They had a white rapper. And they have one of the former ministers who was a judge and very, very neutral. He was one of the many. He was known to be really united everybody. So she said, you are the moral guarantor of all the women, and we want to work with you to make sure that every time you see a woman insulting another woman, you do something. So they all signed and agreed together that they will pursue their interests. They coming from a different political party, they will work, of course. If I want the position that you want, it's not because I'm a woman that I'm going to leave you the position, but let's fight fair. Let's fight, open. Let's be transparent. And also, accountable, because I'm supporting party. I can support your ideas, support both. Doesn't mean that, I'm taking sides. I support Rosie, I support Suma, I support women who want to be there. I'm not in their party, but they are women, and I want to support them. Some are my friends, but the discussion we are going to have is that we cannot fight another woman. I mean, sometimes we discuss it, we are so few. We're not many. So if you start fighting each other, it means that you are going to be neutralized. So that is also something that we need to know in the advocacy. So the fact that we have to accept that we can compete for the same position, it's not because we are women that we should not compete. We should compete for excellence. We should compete for the best certificate or the most popular among the citizens. So just to say, yes, we need to work together and push. So what they did, coming back to the story, what they did, they agreed, and for some time they had this almost like moratorium. People were not involved when there was on the issue. And women started to see that yes, for all these years, we've not been taken, given any position, except some tokens. Now we want more. That's when they pushed to get the parity law. Of course, what helped them was what was kind of a very vocal president, and he made a big commitment. We went to the AU. By the time they discussed, remember, so just again like the AU. No, we need to have more than 20% of women at the AU involved institution. And he committed that. And when he came back, Senegal said, yes, you cannot commit that at the AU, and it is enforced, and now in the country we don't have it, so we want parity. And he said, we get parity. Well, obviously, he was kind of bold. He pushed. That's why leadership is important. He pushed. He convinced some of the religious leaders, explained himself why it is important. And Madam Ambassador said it. We cannot develop. And we bring the issue of development to the traditional leaders, the religious leaders. The data is clear. It shows that you cannot develop without the perspective of the women. You cannot decide without us. So you have to really ensure that everybody is on board. That is how they got the parity. There's a lot of struggle at the end, even to start with at the end. So women have to push. 10 years down the line, it's still there. There are still problems. You can see even when they elect the Bureau of the National Assembly, men will continue to fight, despite the fact that there is a law. And politics will always come to play. That is there, but progress has been made in terms of representation. Another struggle will be quality representation and pushing for women to have their voice in policy making and also making a difference and getting to the position where they did that, but also to see that representation in the policies. That is important. I think we are here serious in Canada, but I guess it's work in progress. Rwanda also is an example. 60% of women in very important positions, and we see, even though in some areas we're not very happy with Rwanda, look at the countries that are on the top 10, South Africa, Rwanda, Senegal, Mozambique are also progressing. Just to see that this is not something new. African countries are doing it through their parliament, so we can do it. The role of the parliament is to ensure also that this is the case. We are hoping in this new legislation that the new constitution will have the constitution with the amendment that we will catch up with that and we still support something that we will have as a law or at least a quota law that will enable Gambian women to be represented properly, efficiently in decision making bodies. I would like to reiterate what the Honorable Minister mentioned. Cannot do this. So we need to happen. We have to be deliberate. We have to decide. And the action that we need to take is the legislation. When there is oppression, when there is something wrong, it's only the legislation that can help to correct. Especially in a society that is our patriarchal, we have our tradition, and people have their comfort zones. When you have power, you don't want to relinquish power. We need to ensure that the game changes. And how to make it change is to legislate in a more equitable, in a more favorable to the path of society that has been deprived of its right. So on that note, I really want to thank the Foundation for this policy dialogue. I hope that we will continue to have some of these conversations in small circles, but also working together to really develop like a movement that really will help women to speak with one voice to achieve their objective, which is equality and parity. Thank you very much, Fatu. That was a brilliant keynote opener. And it takes us directly to where we need to go because she closed it at the right spot where I wanted her to close it by telling us that we need nothing but legislation. I now take you to Emmanuel, the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, who will take us to how we can pursue those legal instruments that Fatu had pointed for us. So now, Emmanuel, the floor is all yours.
I usually don't need a mic. But anyway, thank you so much, honorable members of the National Assembly present here, my lady, Mayor of Banjul, Your Excellency, the American Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen present here, members of the press, Westminster Foundation, country representative, thank you very much for this invitation, and members of the press. I think I am really privileged sitting here as the lone man. Doesn't usually happen, yeah? Usually it's the other way around. So I feel privileged to have been invited here. You, as you said, you always need these supporters, these men. This year theme on zero tolerance for FGM says it talks about men and boys being at the forefront. So here I'm at the forefront supporting my sisters. I will quickly start really by just to get into the topic here, which says pursuing legal and institutional reform for increased representation of women in decision-making centers, aims, prospects, and challenges. Yes, it is really important. Laws are important, but as His High Excellency also mentioned, changing mindsets, I think, is key. But you can also help in changing mindset by using the law, because that's also key. So quickly, I would start with the quotation from the former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. And this is what he said. He said, justice is central to the effort to help women become equal partners in decision-making and development. Without justice, women are disenfranchised, disempowered, and denied their rightful place. But with sound legal and justice systems, women can flourish and contribute to the advancement of a society as a whole, including by helping to improve those very same systems for future generations, daughters and sons alike. So this is very important. We're talking about using justice, using laws to make sure that we get our desired result. I would say I think from the different speakers, I think we all agree, and research has also shown that a true democracy is characterized by the full equal participation of women and men in the formulation and implementation of these decisions in all spheres of public life. No country can call itself democratic if half of the population is excluded from the decision-making process. And I think this is very key. And really, all this is deeply rooted. This rights-based approach is rooted in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, based on the idea that everybody has been with and possesses the same rights regardless of gender, age, orientation, race, or ethnic background. It ensures and upholds non-discrimination. I think this is key. Now, where are we? Despite constituting larger percentage of population worldwide, and in the Gambia more than 51% or about there. And interestingly, if the voter registration population, over 56% are women in this country. We have more women. So the Gambia, unfortunately, despite all this, having more women population and also more women in the voter registration list, we still have women absent in the decision-making level that we are. We have our Constitution, Section 28, which gives women full and equal dignity, equal opportunities, at least by statement. In politics, it says in economic and social activities, and equal treatment to men. But are we really there? Are these just statements, mere statements? We have the Women's Act of 2010, protecting the rights of women. In addition, we've heard the various international and regional treaties that the Gambia has ratified. CEDAW, the Maputo Protocol, that is the African Charter on Women's Rights, Beijing Platform, all this, we've had them in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. All these are instruments that talk about women participation, that states are obligated to make sure that women are equally represented, women have equal rights. But are we there? Are we really there? So, despite all these things, and of course, if you remember, the Beijing Conference on Women set a gender quota of 30% for women representation in decision-making processes. Are we there? Of course we are not. Let us even come home quickly. In the Gambia, the National Assembly, where we are here. What did I say? 56 point. So many percentage of our voter population are women. We would have expected at least to have maybe 30% of those women who are voting. At least let's bring them to the National Assembly. But what do we have? I think if I'm right, we have 5. And out of that 5, only 3 are directly elected. The other 2 are nominated. And interestingly, let us also even break it down. Only 1 of them came through a political party. The 2 others are independent. Are we really serious? These are things we need to look at. You know, in Gambia, we are good at talking. We may even have this. In this case, we even are lacking in the laws, which I will look at to see perhaps how best we can improve. But even where we have the laws, and this is very important to talk about it because we are talking to the National Assembly. Even where we have them, we are very poor in implementing. We are very poor in enforcement. We are very poor in monitoring to see that actually we have impact. We have a national gender policy. You know, we are very good in coming on TV and talking. We like talking on radio. But do we really have impact? And this is important. And I will get back to the National Assembly because it is important. Because this is, as our keynote speaker said, this is the assembly that make laws. Yes, the The idea may emanate from the executive but it comes to you for scrutiny. You look at it in your committee, clause by clause. I was summoned last week before the committee, or the standing committee on human rights, on constitutional matters, to look at the provision. And our job now as a National Human Rights Commission, and by the way, thank you very much, you establish us. And incidentally, we only report to you people, not to the Ministry of Justice. We're very independent. We come to you. And it is important that as a National Assembly, that you scrutinize these laws to make sure that the bills that are before you, human rights, women's rights, are streamlined in legislation. It's important that you do that. So, quickly coming back, really 5 members of parliament, only 3 elected. It's shameful. We need to do better at every level. I've seen party representatives. I'll talk to them about that, because really, even having it as a law, it should start. And I will look at the constitution. If you look at, you mentioned South Africa, Botswana, they have the African National Congress Party has it in their constitution that 50% of elected officers in the various must be women, because you'll have to start from there so that people will have no choice but to elect women. We have to be serious and stop making women cheerleaders, yaya compin. Yes, but this is who we are. You women, you are the king makers. You make the kings, and then when they are dining, they don't invite you. You have to change them. And how do we change it? How do we change it? I think I have about 5-10 minutes still, something like that. Yes, I can go ahead. So, but it's important that we know that these are the issues. So, legal. What can we do? If you look at the UN Women's Constitutional Database relating to gender equality, it says that the only proper way, they've done an analysis in changing the status quo and lifting of women to decision-making position is by having constitutional amendments. And in our constitutional making process, we have to be serious. We have to look at and review our laws at different levels. General provisions regarding equality and non-discrimination, gender-specific constitutional provisions on women's rights and the right to reproductive health care, access to education, protection from violence, temporary special measures such as quota system. These are things that we need to look at when we're making our laws. This is very important because let's be honest, it's culture, patriarchal system, and when it suits us, we conflate issues and say it's religion. I just came from with Fatu Balde. We were in Geneva in October. Gambia was being reviewed under the CEDAW, and we were there with the Ministry of Gender and her team. And Gambia had promised a lot of things to do, and we're not doing it. Even when we have it, a typical example, on the 6th of this month, we commemorated the zero tolerance for FGM. And it was amazing that the Committee of Experts looked at our laws. In 2015, we amended the Women's Act. And FGM, yes, there are cultural issues involved. Sometimes we conflate it with religious issues, but the laws passed by the National Assembly, amended in 2015, makes it illegal to perform FGM. It is not Emmanuel Diouf's law. Usually they say I'm making laws, or NHRC. This is the laws of the Gambia. If you look at the survey from GBOS in 2019-2020, 73% of women in this country go through FGM. And would you believe, since 2015, there has been no successful prosecution on FGM. They attempted once or twice, it died. Yet our laws, not those it forbids practicing FGM with imprisonment of maximum 3 years, 50,000 fine, but also accomplice anybody who aids, abets the process. Are these children kidnapped from their parents? No. So fathers know, uncles know when these things happen. They are accomplice to the whole process. we need to be a serious country. We should not just have these beautiful laws. And when the diplomats come and we say, oh, we have section 332A, it's more than that. Impact. If we do not have impact, forget it. We'll just go and talk on radio, talk. So we need to be serious. And it's with the laws. Now, unfortunately, the draft constitution, I'm hearing that it's going to be revived. So apparently it was just shelved. They're going to bring in new life. There are very good provisions there, which will help the advancement of the rights of women. Perhaps we should try and bring it back. But not only that, as I've mentioned, political participation. Let us start with the political parties. Please, I recognize the spokesperson of the UDP present. Sorry, I'm not picking on you. And he has been my colleague for many years. I have to be honest. We have been in the fight for human rights going as far back as 1999, when I ran a legal aid clinic and we were doing awareness raising. So we came a long way, but he has decided to become a politician. He's still my friend. But anyway, having said that, political parties, all of them, I'm not just picking on you. Go back, look at your make sure that in your own, so that people have no choice but for Jara constituency, for this, it's the women we have to elect. If you give us the women, we will elect them. But don't sideline them. So start with you to start with. 1. 2, the executive. President Barrow should stop also just talking about it. Yes, here he's talking about it, and we commend him. Make sure that your executive, how many women ministers do we have? Okay. So I rest my case there. He needs to do more. But not only that, let's look at, again, let's come to the laws. They pass through you. And I'm very proud to be part of an institution, and the legislation was passed by the National Assembly. It says appointment of members of the National Human Rights Commission, apart from many things that it says, you guys had to vet it. And this was good because you had to scrutinize and decide and send it to the president. He could not just choose. But there was even your hands were tied, although you are the lawmakers. It says the president shall, so the names you give to the president must have at least 2 women. It says appointment of members of the commission, one of the many things, but the part I'm interested in is that the president shall appoint the members of the commission who shall include at least 2 women from among the 5. At least 2. So to start with, you have even imposed on the commission. So we have no excuses. And it was good. You know why? The other day we were trying to, one of our members unfortunately resigned because of ill health and passed away. And we had to look for, the law says, I'm sure you would have been filled quickly by a man, but it had to be, we had a lot of male application. We came back to you. He said, no, it's only reserved for women. So we had to even re-advertise twice so that the competent women, even opening up in the diaspora, will apply. So these things can be done. How many other positions come to you? So when positions of commissions, the anti-corruption is still with you. People are knocking and asking what you're doing with that bill there. I hope you don't talk to honorable members like that. But anyway, honorable members, when bills come to you, please look at the composition and let us make sure that this is the way of starting. It must happen. Now, in some countries, even the National Assembly, it's interestingly in a country that I've worked in for many, many years, which is during the time it was conflict and post-conflict. Interestingly, and this is the Republic of South Sudan, it says in their constitution, as amended 2013, all levels of government shall, and the lawyers know when we say shall, it's mandatory. It shall promote women participation in public life and their representation in the legislative and executive organs by at least 25% as affirmative action to redress imbalances created by history, customs, and tradition. So to rectify the imbalances that have been created by our grandfathers, we have to rectify for the sins, for the atonements of our in holding women in those positions. But I'm just saying that if we are serious, changing mindsets, it's important, and it's being done. Advocacy, awareness, but we will have to use the law. to make sure that we will not maneuver. And it is important, and that is why we need to pursue legal and institutional reforms for increased representation. Let us have quota system. We have it. I think the United States had it. Through slavery. You cannot start the race equally if you have been underprivileged because of society. So what do? We have to make sure that women are given equal, women are made to have equal access to men. I see pieces of papers moving around. I hope they are not telling me that I'm talking too much. But I will conclude. In 2 minutes or 1 minute. Yes, so it's not about time. Yes, okay. I'm very sensitive to these things. So, but the institution that I work for, we start doing research on some of these things because we want it to be evidence-based. Just recently, we commissioned research on sexual harassment in the workplace because it's also important. We talked about women don't even want to come up in the political forefront because of intimidation. We do it. We say very bad things about women from their hairstyle. How can this woman be us men and we can do anything? Huh? But we attack them. It's violence, verbal violence. Even at the level of the office, women are intimidated. So we need to move away from this. So we've conducted research and we're coming with evidence to give it to the government and say, listen, we have to, even at the workplace, the private sector, everywhere, we need to change things. We need to have policies and laws to eradicate sexual harassment and also empowerment of women. But not only that. In conclusion, we need those laws. We can have them at different levels. But also enforcement is important. We are bad at enforcement when it suits us. Implementation of the laws, it's important. And then monitoring of the enforcement and implementation, it's important. Without that, we will be talking about sections, and then still the next election will bring 3 women again. We don't want that next election. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I think, like our keynote speaker, our discourse and closed it at the right spot. Commitment. We've been committing. Action is what we need. Now, next we have the action lady, who's done it, been there, seen it. We have the Right Honorable Mayor of Banjul, Madam Rohi Malik Lo, to share her experience and the cost of politics for women, opportunities and challenges. She's seen it all. So who's best to take us through?
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member of the National Assembly of Banjul South and Chair of the National Assembly Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Honorable Fatoumata Njie, my very own sister, and all other members here present, the Ambassador of the United States of America, the Country Director for the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, Madi Jabate, the Founder and CEO for the Center for Women's Rights and Leadership, Mrs. Fatou Diagne, my other sister here present, the Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Emmanuel Joub, the Executive Director for Women in Liberation and Leadership, Mrs. Fatou Balde, distinguished invitees, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols duly respected and observed. I wish to first of all thank the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, who in collaboration with the Office of the Clerk and the National Assembly Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare invited me to this policy dialogue on women's political participation and representation to talk about what it is to stand for elections as a woman and win. Ladies and gentlemen, my role here is to talk about experience sharing and the cost of politics for women, opportunities and challenges, issues and concerns women face in seeking elections and political office. I want everybody to understand that it is very, very difficult for me to sit here and talk. The task given to me is very, very difficult. It's just like trying to dig out old wounds. We're here as a family, and I think it is expected from us as political leaders to talk about the facts and realities on the ground. So this is a very, very difficult task for me. Telling me, Mayelo, come and tell us how you feel. And we want to hear the truth. So bear with me that emotions might come, but I will try to control it as much as possible. I am stronger than yesterday. Anyway, let me first reflect back to what the previous speaker has just alluded. Honorable Tumanjai said something very, very interesting. And I quote her. She said, the movement is only when people get moving. And my question here is, are we prepared to move? Honorable Madi Sise, or Mr. Madi Sise, Jabate, Mr. Madi Jabate said, commitment is key. Are we committed? Again, he said, it should be inclusive. Meaning, and I guessed, to include women, people with disabilities, youths, etc. And again, he mentioned something that touches my heart. He said, when we talk about inclusive or women empowerment, it is only on the menu, but not on the table. And yes, he is right. He put emphasis on the status of women. His Excellency, the British High Commissioner, also said, women political participation and leadership benefit economic growth of a society. But how about, my question is, when we are not involved, we know the risk involved. Indeed, we know it, and we know it very well. Honorable Speaker said empowerment of candidates, but he does not say how. Her Excellency, the United States of America, the Ambassador of the United States of America, my very own sister, mentioned something very, very important. He said, no country can develop if you leave 50% of the population behind. He talked about poor health, education, lack of voices. And indeed, he said something, mindset and behavior should change. And I guess, or I assume, when he talk about mindset, we can reflect back also to our traditional and cultural norms, which also plays a very, very big role when it comes to women in politics. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to share my experiences and the cost of politics for women. Indeed, the opportunities and challenges, issues and concerns women face in seeking elections to political office. What an era, what an area for discussion, with the first ever female mayor of a country where men have claimed ownership of all political positions. I am excited to do so in the presence of my very own sister, the Honorable Member of the National Assembly for Banjul South, as I know she will agree to most of the facts I will be discussing, with understanding that she went through a similar experiences. I would like to start with generalities from when I decided to run for the mayoral position in the city of Banjul. Lack of support, insults, and disrespectful statements becomes the order of the day. When I wanted to become a mayor, the first person that I spoke to was my family member. And they were the very first person who said, no, we are not going to support you because it is a dominated male arena. You cannot do it. Yes, my father was a mayor. But they said no. They were totally against it because the fear factor, the mindset, the cultural norms, the traditional norms were all barriers for me. And I will tell you openly that my mother was the first one who said no. And she told me in my language, demal fufu, dinañ la saga be saga suma mami. They will insult you and they will insult my 4 grandfathers. Rohi, this is not the political arena, is a male dominated arena and you cannot stand the hate. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we should all reflect and remember my dad was the mayor of the city of Banjul in the 80s. The sacrifice and the position was quite challenging for the family, especially my mom, as I said. But when I informed her of my decision to run for the position, she was against it. She actually begged me to change my mind because, as she said, as a woman, this society will take on me for any little thing. And I've seen it all. And I'm a very frank person. I've seen it all with the opposition and inside my party as well. I've seen it all. I've seen the resistance where even some people in my very own party were undermining my candidacy. I've seen it all when women themselves were out used by male candidates to bully and use the stereotyping on me. I've seen it all. When you come to the public, you pretend like everything is okay. Then you go home and face the constituency alone. You look at yourself in the mirror and you know that, or you start to think that society has rejected you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fact. I am talking from my very own experience. Many people will say, Mayor Low is very strong. Yes, I am strong because I will not leave myself to be eaten by the lion just like that. This is the survival of the fittest. If Mayor Low is ugly, what does that have to do with my political career? Let's respect women. We are also part of the political cake. We understand that we cannot do it when we don't have your support. But please do understand that we cannot develop if we leave women and youth out of the political discussion or leadership of this country. Please do respect us. And I am talking to my fellow women. They are the very one that will use the bullying and the stereotyping on us. And they will be used by men who will make them understand that we don't deserve our positions. And because of the mindset, they also allowed men to use them. I will tell you, when women want something here, 90% of those that will support them are men. I have the experience. 90% of those that will support them genuinely. Amen. As I said, it's not an easy task that is given to me. Other members of my family kick against it. There were several family meetings being held just to discourage me from running for the position. They just could not stand the insults that would come with it. What a mindset. Some people will tell you, danga duga si politik, danga nangul tangor bi. So who tell them that politics is all about insulting? That's the mindset. Who tell them that? Who informed them or told them that politics is all about insulting or about bullying? You will go to the extent of not even trusting your right hand. And you will meet people. Yes, we have to forget, to forgive and forget. And I do understand. And I keep saying this in many platforms. It was like a woman coming to say, I want to be an imam. Because for 200 years, Gambia does not have a female mayor. So I was very much prepared because I understand. I was not prepared for the extreme bullying, but I do understand that. I wanted to take something that the mindset or the traditional norms and cultures believe that is only for the male. I understand that very well. So if somebody is telling me, yeah, for them, you wanted to be a politician, you have to take it all. It doesn't work that way. You go to Senegal, they will have their politics campaign on policies and issues, but not. It doesn't work that way. So let's change our mindset. It's making it difficult for women to come into the political arena. So women should help women. Let's solidarity for each other. Close friends. Some had to avoid me because their husbands will not like their wives associated with such a public woman. You are going with her, they will insult you as well. Because nobody want to have insult on your shoulders. Nobody want to hear history that you have already forgotten. Nobody want to hear, your father is like this, your dad is like, no. So I don't blame them. But I am happy that today things are changing. The media. Oh yeah. And honestly, this is not a laughing matter. I'm telling you. Today, the guys of the media, most of them are my friends because they have seen all the efforts I put into my work and what I have done for the residents of the city of Banjul. And they're happy. But back then, it was not as easy as today. They used to throw negative criticisms without understanding what I am capable of bringing to the residents of the city. Women are judged even before they have the opportunity of explaining what they are capable of doing. Even before you open your mouth, the first thing that they will say, hey, keep them you getting. Don't mind her, she should go to the, can you cook super kanja or benachin? Yes. The first debate that a man will challenge you when you sit with him talking about important issues is, can you cook good benachin? I said, hello. Exactly. Because for us, The mindset is that we belong to the home. Cooking, making babies, that's all. But who told them that we cannot multitask? Who told them that? Most people, intellectuals and non-intellectuals, still believe the woman's place is at home, cooking and making babies. Yes, that is good. But who said women cannot multitask? I have children, I have a husband, and I am a mayor of a city. A vice president for the Global Parliament of Mayors, president of mayors of African capital cities, and president of the female mayors in Africa, with a membership of 150 million members. Is that not huge? So who told them that we cannot multitask? Take note that all these positions entail management on most a daily basis. So who told them my husband is not happy with me? Who told them that I am not taking care of my kids? Who told them that my house is dirty? Who told them I cannot take care of myself? But still, what we can do as women, believe me, multitasking, this word is invented only because of us as women. What surprises me the most is the fact that though the local level politics can be synonymous to the household task women do every day, women still find it a challenge to get to local governance, political leadership, and decision-making positions. With all these efforts that we can do in the house, but still they cannot trust us to give us the local governance. It should not be so. Madam Speaker or Madam Chairperson, when men are asked to sweep the compound of the house, they say it is the job of the woman. Yet they want to be in charge of sweeping the street of the city and ensuring the garbage is collected. I'm saying this, I mean keeping the city clean when they angrily refuse to clean the home. And this is just to have political leadership positions, because you want to be a mayor, so you want to go out doing satsatal every day because you want to have a political score. But at home, you will say, no, this is for you. What an irony. At the local level, we ensure primary education generally. Madam Chair, but at home, mothers ensure the kids go to school and do their homework before the next day, before the next school day. At the home, women take care of the sick. At the local level, primary health care is ensured. At the local level, Madam Chair, waste management and hygiene. At home, women make sure the house is clean. I'm just trying to compare this, what we have in the local level and what we are doing at home. So you can see that we are experts. When we talk about mayors, it is women who deserve to be mayors and councillors. So vote us in massively. With all these similarities between the traditional role of the woman in the house and the responsibilities at the local level, women understand better how to do the job. It is inborn for us women, yet women still struggle to have position at the local level. Running a political campaign entails a lot of financial resources. Madam Chair, I am lucky that this role was handled by my dad, and I am only following in his footsteps. Therefore, my family understands. I come from a big family with many brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunties. At the end of the year 2022, I wrote to everyone informing them of my intention to run for the mayoral position. I have their blessings, at least this time. Especially given the fact that they have seen what I have been able to accomplish. I have been receiving gifts here and there to support my campaign because they understand the cost involved is huge. And as I said, it's sometimes difficult to trust certain institutions. What I mean is, people might say, okay, maybe she's too big to do that. She's too big and this is too big. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a grassroots person. I receive calls from everybody. I go to ceremonies. I am so close to my people. But one thing also, I don't believe in using women politicians. And this is why I stopped going to a lot of workshops. Because when we are on the campaign trail, we don't see them. Even to bring $5 and say, we are contributing this. So you only need us when we win elections. When we won, you start inviting us in many platforms. So where are you when we need you most? And this is why I respect this lady here. She has never given me a dime. It's not the money that we need. Yes, politics goes with money. And finances are very important in politics. But we also need moral support. But you will not see them. Nobody will call you. They will not tell you anything. The first day that you will hear them is when you win and they will take their turn. Congratulations. Save me that, please. I was able to answer. Okay, Honorable, are you done? Okay, the fact that the Banjul City Council was not well managed for many years before I became mayor was an opportunity for me to convince the residents of what a woman can do. I don't want to stand here talking about our achievements, but I can tell you that we have achieved a lot. Taking Banjul from a ghost town, you can see, everybody can see now the lights all over Banjul, the 3.2 million euro from EU that we are using to save Banjul from sinking, the coconuts at the beach, the Crab Island project, the Kampama Youth for Excellence, the toilets at the market, the school fees that we are paying for education, which is the key of empowerment. And for those who don't believe that, go to the SDGs. Then you will know the importance of education. So, increasing the salaries, restructuring by council, the advocacy for the community to understand the importance of council, the abattoir we're building, the toilets at the Albert Market, the Wafinyago, the ambulance that we're giving out to the communities and to the hospital. I can sit here for 1 hour and talk about my achievements and our achievements. And these are facts. These are nothing that we kept in Ghana, as the Wolof will say, Li Mungini Munga Ghana. When we came to office, and the accounts was $35,000. And I keep saying this, and this is why I said, when women are talking, please listen to us. You can listen to us and then you start bullying. It's no problem. But just please listen to us. $35,000 was in the account. And my council was indebted to all banks. Over 40 million debt was there. Today, yes, we have some overdrafts here and there. But we pay all our debts. There was no electricity and water in the council. Today, electricity and water is there, and we don't own now a dime. There was no respect to the CEO. Everything was centered on the policy side. The mayor has to do everything. Today, at least, the CEO is well respected. Because I made them understand that it's two arms, that is the policy arm and the administration arm, the administrative arm. We cannot go without them. Indeed, they can go without us, because we have seen it before. But what a calamity if that happened. We don't have control over the administration. Everybody knows that. This is under the Ministry of Local Government. The mayor has limited powers, but people don't know that. Very, very limited power. I don't have any right to employ anybody. I cannot employ anybody. And most of the achievements that we're doing, thanks to Rafaela, that today Banjul City Council is able to do many things. And thanks to my CEO also. For those who sometimes say, he's like this, he's like, I know how he put me through. As I said, and I will say it again, I am not an administrator. I am a politician. I am a politician. So it is very, very important for sometimes people to respect that as politicians also, we need people to guide us. And this is why the CEO is there. So there are a lot of problems that are on the councils. And this is also important to say it here, since we are addressing direct members of parliament. Before I took office, as I said, the residents of the city used to complain of many issues. And when I heard all their complaints, I went round the city several times and asked myself a few questions. I was able to answer all the questions with tangible solution in my mind. That was when I personally convinced I would be able to handle the position. And I went all out for it in order to keep my people comfortable. The records are there today for everyone to see. I am happy I have been able to prove to the Banjulians in particular and the Gambians in general that a woman can do better. It is thanks to the work I do in Banjul that I have a wide international recognition. I was elected, as I said, vice president for the locally elected women for West Africa in absentia, vice president. I was in Banjul for the Independence Day celebration and could not attend the meeting, but was called later in the evening to announce the good news. I was unanimously elected as vice president for West Africa in my absence, and that is what qualified me to be elected as the president of Rafaela in Africa. In May of last year, I was elected the president of Rafaela Africa. I was elected president of African Capital Cities, as I said, for Sustainability Forum. Again, I am the vice president for Global Parliament of Mayors, and indeed the vice president of my own political party, United Democratic Party, which has 37.8% of women in our executive. In all these fora, there are men except in the Rafaela fora, and they stand to contest, but I beat them hands down. My secret is hard work. I take the work very seriously. I consider myself as a servant and give my all to satisfy those I serve. Yes, the challenges are enormous. The most important ones to highlight is the mindset of the people, as I said before, who still think a woman cannot do it, and it is a position for men. Also, the fact that the women are in the majority, yet they do not think it is their duty to support a female candidate. When we look at the statistics, we realize that the women constitute over half of the population of the Gambia. I remember the work we did to sensitize the women through Rafaela to register for elections, and today they constitute 56.6% of the electoral register, which I am very proud of. Furthermore, Madam Chair, women constitute 52.5% of voters in Banjul. This implies that if the women in Banjul say, Mayor Law, we acknowledge you and we will vote for you, I will just go and sleep and wait for the results. to be declared in my favor, but we are still too far from success. I have to work extremely hard. I have to work extremely hard, 5 times more than the main contestants, to convince the residents of my city of what I can offer to them in terms of services. In conclusion, Madam Chair, I wish to request that the deliberation of this policy dialogue should go to inform the authorities of the necessity to do like our neighbor Senegal, that has about 47% representation of women at the local level. We just need to find out what they did to get to that. And we don't need to go far. It's not expensive. Let's us all take the ferry. We don't even need to take flight. Let's just take, since we need to know how they do it. We, of course, indeed, I believe that we know it. But since we are just pretending like we don't know, just take the ferry and go to Kaula. You don't even need to go to Dakar. Or just take a phone call. It's as simple as that. This is no joke. We are behind. I'm telling you, we are behind. And we start to be very, very serious about women issues. We just need to find out what they did to get to that, and we adapt to given the specialties of our country. This will go a long way to increase the number of women in political leadership positions, especially at the local government level. I'm putting emphasis on the local government because, as I said, I'm talking about the facts. So I cannot talk about national at the national level. So I'm putting emphasis on the local level, and I always want women to start from the local level. This centralization was adopted in the Gambia in the 90s. And since then, I am the first and only female mayor in the country. This situation does not make me happy. We need many more women in political leadership positions, especially at the local level, where the duties are similar to the traditional duties women carry out at home on a daily basis. I want to thank you all and say Assalamu alaikum.
I think we should give her an order round of applause because she really deserves it. You see, when women lead, especially women with confidence, I mean, it's few months before election, but she's sitting here, not even looking at her watch, trying to run away. Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. My Lord Mayor, he's also my Lord Mayor. We are not in politics yet, but when the time comes, we will show ourselves, obviously. Huh? No, I'm not politicking. I'm very neutral where I am as the chair. Huh? But she's mentioned it like they've all mentioned: commitment, inclusiveness, mindset, and most importantly, the lack of support. So we appeal to all men to support us. Don't look at us as competition. Look at us as your support system, because we cannot go far without you. Likewise, you cannot be successful without us. It's just like when you have 2 eyes. If you cover one, you can only see part of the room. So we need to open up and make sure that we are all there. We've had her experiences. We need to study, like she said, from our closest and nearest, Senegal. Why would they have, most of us here are parliamentarians. They have 44% female representation in their parliament. Why? Because of legislation. Why? Because they support each other. It was an interesting story that she shared with us. Now we take you to Fatou Balde, the Executive Director of the bill, who will also reflect on the growing incidences of sexual and gender-based violence in our society, and how it affects us from coming forward to contest. Like she's mentioned, we went through a lot contesting, but like she's also mentioned, because of family support, because of the strong family system, and most likely because of coming from a political background. She mentioned many times that her father was a mayor. most of us would not have that benefit, that, I don't know how to say it. But if you look at women in politics, most of them are from political backgrounds. Like my father was a nominated member of parliament. He wasn't formally in politics, but in the background growing up, I used to see him really involved in politics. So our sons and daughters need to see us really. When you men go out to politics, make sure you include your daughters. Tell them what you do. That would motivate them. That would bring them. So I take you to Madame Balde to take us through her own reflections as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Njai and the Chair. And I acknowledge the presence of all the National Assembly members, the Mayor, my colleagues on the high table, the Ambassador of the US to the Gambia, all protocols duly observed. I actually had a little thing written, but I am so fired up and really inspired by the Mayor and everything that she had shared. Indeed, she's just proven to everyone here that, because the narrative is often that in the communities that women cannot lead, leadership is for men, you know, and she is here, sitting here, proving that when women are given positions, when you trust women with positions, they can make a change. They can move mountains, they can move rivers. So I would like to really say that I am really inspired. And again, someone might wonder, why are we talking about SGBV, which is sexual and gender-based violence, when we're talking about women in politics? What's the link? Where does SGBV fit in all this? So in the Gambia, the prevalence of sexual and gender-based violence is actually rooted in a patriarchal system, which defines roles for men and women. And as I just said, the definition for leadership in our communities is usually men lead and women follow. And we see that, I would like to actually take this back to our households, because we are sitting here and talking about the policy and everything, but it is our own people from our own communities who represent us within this context. And in the Gambia, again, as I said, these gender roles are actually prescribed to us at a very early age in a manner that translates into power and control over resources for men and less for women. So when we say to the daughter that you are to sweep, after school you have to do the household chores, and you say to the young boy, oh, you can go and study extra classes or go and play football, the inequalities are starting from there. In fact, they start before that. But just to take it back to that level, we see how inequalities are there. And the socio-cultural norms and practices, including traditional ones, which we've talked about here on the high table, those that are derived from the patriarchal interpretation of religion and beliefs, reinforce the acceptance of these gender roles through a culture of silence, thus creating a room for abuse and discrimination of women and their rights. So when we set these roles and norms and beliefs, we are already setting up our society to discriminate against one gender. And when we talk about sexual and gender-based violence, we are talking about violations that are targeted at an individual based on their gender. So society is deciding that because you are a woman, you shouldn't be in a leadership position, and that leadership position should be taken by men. And in our country, women suffer from different forms of gender-based violence. And these can include female genital mutilation, which the Honorable Chair talked about earlier, early marriage, domestic violence, rape, poor maternal health care, lack of access to education. I always like it when we sit in forums, and one of the indicators that Gambia uses as development is that we are having enrollment levels. Like girls are getting more enrollment than boys. We have achieved 90-something%. But in fact, when you look at that trend, as girls go into high school, they drop out more of school. Teenage pregnancy, forced marriage, and other issues. You also see that how many of those girls actually end up reaching high school. As the pyramid goes up, you see more girls dropping. How many of those girls actually end up into university and into careers? And we see that even where boys and girls end up qualifying at the university level, so many men would get into positions, into better, most qualified jobs than women. And again, just going back into sexual and gender-based violence, also I like that the National Human Rights is looking into the issue of sexual harassment, because for a lot of young women, this affects them actually accessing job opportunities. So when we talk about sexual violence, it's something that is systematic within our society. So you will often find, and I am sure my sisters here would agree with me, or you would hear from young women telling you, I graduated from university and I've been to apply for a job, and then the person who is responsible to hire me is asking me for sexual favors. We all know that that is the order of the day within our society. Now, how does that affect women from achieving their potentials, from realizing their goals as we go on? And the stigmatization we all had from the mayor, I have actually left completely what I wrote because I want to really bring this into context. We've had what the mayor said, her experience. I wish we had another mayor, a male mayor, for us to share experiences. And you would see that the way that she would be treated and the way that a male counterpart would be treated will be completely different. You know, I will take advantage of my activism and actually say that we've seen here where male politicians have scandals on the media. Within few days, it's forgotten. But the same society will make up stories, will make up huge narratives to discredit women. And when you talk to a lot of young women, one thing that you cannot say about Gambian women is that we lack confidence or that we lack the capability of taking up leadership positions. We do have that. I mean, on this high table will actually speak for itself. We don't lack that. What the struggles that we face is the way that our society treats women when they come out and want to take up these leadership positions. We have the laws. We've talked about the laws. We have numerous laws. But how come, even with all these laws, still women continue to experience all forms of sexual and gender-based violence? And when we talk about sexual violence in the case of, for instance, rape and other forms, when women come out and share their experiences, first of all, they are not believed, they are ridiculed, they are stigmatized. And the few women who are bold enough to come out and want to change those status quo are also attacked. What does that do to young women who are looking behind? I would like to share my experience. Unlike the mayor, I come from a family where both my parents were not educated. I am the first in my family to actually reach high school, to go to university. But one thing I remember, when I was very little, my father saw that we had a female vice president. And I remember my father calling me and saying, Fatu, today in the Gambia, if you are a woman and you are educated, you can be whoever you want to be. And for my father, that was what inspired him. This was why he was the first in my whole extended family to invest in the education of his children, of his female children. And that is why I am sitting here today. So when we talk about leadership, having women represent other women, it is that message. That was the message that was sent to my dad that encouraged him to make sure that I receive quality education, because he saw the opportunity for me to be able to sit at this high table where I am today. So again, this just shows the importance of having male involvement in women empowerment issues. As everyone has repeatedly said here, we can't do it alone. We do need men to come along, but we do need men to also, influential men in your positions, to use the positions that you have to change those narratives. You are in power and we will hold you accountable. The young generation will hold you accountable. In 10 years' time, we will look back. The same way we are saying the previous legislators failed us, we will talk the same about you. So it is your responsibility to ensure that women are elected. Women are, whatever measures that we are going to take, we've had the example of Senegal. We have the same socio-cultural beliefs. We practice the same religions. How come Senegal has been able to move forward from all that. And today they have achieved what they've achieved in the area of women in leadership positions. A lot of what I wanted to say have already been discussed, and I really want to allow us the opportunity to talk, to hear from you, because we are all asking the questions. Everything that needs to be done on paper, we have done. Yet that is not translating into seeing women. What can we do? And I think this is a great opportunity for us to have that conversation. Therefore, I want to stop here because I do want us to really talk about that. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
I think we'll now open up the floor. We've heard about commitment, we've heard about inclusiveness, we've heard about control of resources, all inequalities. We've heard about how to change our mindset. I think changing our mindset should start from here, because we have seen how our male counterparts, the male honorables, are supporting us, because we are very few in number. If this was only for female MPs, we would only have been 5 seats here. But the seats are so full in the expectation that we will have all our male, and kudos. Thank you very much to the male honorables. I think you need a round of applause. We're thanking you, our minority leader. Thank you. Unfortunately, our majority leader is occupied. He would have loved to be here, and he sent his apologies to everybody because he really wanted to be here. He just sent me a text that he wanted to be here, but unfortunately, he's engaged. Now we open up the floor. I think I will give my right honorable sister, Maria Masise Dabo, to say a few words, and then we'll give it to the right honorable Amikoli. And where's Fatmata Jawara? I think she just stepped out, so that we will hear some few words of them. And I've seen a former honorable member, Duta Kamaso, who's also very experienced. He's seen it, he's been there. He was also a former member of parliament. He's from the PPP party, quite experienced, knows a lot about how to empower women. I think we would also love to hear from you, Duta. So the floor is now open. I think, where's the clerk? We might need, we need help from, where's the mic? We might need the mic to go around. So, Mariama, Maimuna, sorry. The floor is all yours. You are a politician. We know you. Aha.
How do you
I hope you have a woman. You tell. 4. Okay. Okay, 2 minutes each. 2 minutes. It's after 1 o'clock.
say you must be there. When I finish, long time.